Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again. It's time for the J. Craig Podcast. Playing on headphones near you.
Hi, and welcome back to part 2. You are joining a discussion in progress of sound design in music, movies, and video games.
So I actually want to thank you for calling me out on not knowing my spaghetti western motifs, Rob. So I know that was a couple minutes ago, but it's still been kind of eating away.
I put you in the spot.
I need to kind of clarify that.
Well, I just know we used to crack up together because we both liked it. I mean, you know what I'm talking about now because we both liked it. I was like, I thought that's our thing.
I got so much information.
Like when we watched the movie, we both look at each other on the couch when that happens. It was like, he's got that mustache.
But I love that about movies and video games and that we're going to go to a little bit, but those little cues that stay with you. Right? Those little moments of sound effects mixed with the visual that you always remember.
I mean, right? This is a great time to bring up R2-D2.
Oh, okay.
He's beeps and bloops, but they're most endearing. Like, I'm just like, I just think of his little R2, and it's like, if that's not the topic we're talking about right now, I don't know what is. You know what I mean? It's just like, that is his motif. That is that character.
And he's eliciting an emotion by the sound that he's making. You know exactly what he's saying without knowing what he's saying. Right?
There you
get it. And there's genius in that.
That's a lot of genius in that.
I mean, it's C-3PO talking to a beeping whistle, right?
The first time I had a Moog, a Prodigy, it wasn't mine. We were borrowing it from a guy named George. This was back I was living with the guys at our little funk shelter, you know, that we were in Lansing. But the first time I played a Moog Prodigy, a synthesizer, and it started feeding back on itself. I turned the resonance up so high, it started self-resonating. And it was like, rear, and I was like, what? I mean, I don't know if I was in Donkey Kong or if I was in Star Wars, but there was something going on. I was like, I took a deep breath, like, this is the source. Because I spent the first 19, 20, see, this was like when I was 21.
This is where it's come from.
I spent the first 20 years of my life, you know, being a guitarist or whatever. Or, you know, actually, I've only been playing since I was like 11 or 12. So, anyway, I spent the first 7 years of my musicianhood just being Mr. Guitar, because I had to learn this instrument that's very complicated. I'm still learning, but... when I first played the synthesizer and it started self-oscillating and it was like, woo, woo, woo. I was like, holy shit, you could probably talk with this. And then the R2-D2 came up and I was like, dang, that's it.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So anyway.
That's the thing, man. You know, the sound is so incredibly important that people don't give it credit. They don't understand it. And not that they have to say, every time you walk out of a movie saying, that's such great sound.
Yeah,
right?
They don't. They don't challenge it either. That's what's funny about your dad brings that up because he's probably more astute than others because he knows what guns sound like.
Right, especially certain kinds of guns.
But the majority of people, they're not going to call it sound.
Right, and and that's, you get what I always find funny is that the movement of the pistol, and it sounds like it's loose, like it's got moving parts that are moving around, making whoosh.
It shouldn't make
a sound.
It's like,
no, it shouldn't make a sound at all.
It just the holster makes a sound, but that thing going through the air doesn't do anything.
You get a motion of air. You might get a like very light.
Yeah.
But I mean, right? But when you're talking,
I already want to go make a movie. Right
I know.
Now.
Let's go make some sound effects. Let's go make some sound effects. Right?
We'll do it later.
We are definitely gonna do that later.
Right.
And so you have like that now is there's things that because you want to hear that because it kind of gets you into the action, right? Having those sound effects. If not, you just have motions.
Right.
And a sound effect gives it some depth.
That's right.
Gives it depth without needing it.
In that sense, it's interesting because there's a lot of vehicles that do that in storytelling, even though this is more of a sound episode. In video games, when Leon and RE2 and stuff, they couldn't talk. You couldn't see their mouth moving.
Right.
Even though there is an audio track.
He's talking about Resident Evil 2.
Resident Evil 2, the video game.
Right.
They would always talk like, Leon, I'm over there. Like, they would emote so much with their arms. You're like, dude, people don't talk like that.
Right.
But it works.
What was that all about? Running off like that was reckless and stupid. Those zombies are everywhere. Not to mention that thing that got Ben.
I was there, Leon. I know.
And you didn't know he needed it. Yeah, it's like jazz hands. Like you can't exactly. You're like, what is going on? Everyone's doing like jazz aerobics and stuff. But it's because that was emoting better. Honestly, I liked it. After a while, it became a trademark of the series. That
it's kind of.
I really feel it.
Part of the fun of it. Yeah, right. Like even if it's not intentional, it's like now it's part of the coolness of it.
Yeah,
right. So that's a cool thing about. You never know what's.
But they're forced. I'm saying that arm movement was really a forced vehicle. It seemed like, and sometimes you're adding sounds in to the gun coming up. It's a forced vehicle. It's not there, but you know what? It kind of needs it. And since most people won't call that out, go ahead and leave it in.
Exactly.
And I think that's the point we were trying to make.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, sorry, Jackie. You know, I know, the gun doesn't sound like, and probably a lot of other guys too, or girls, but it's just like,
Well, I know the punch in the chest doesn't sound like
that's right.
that, right? It's more like a slap.
Yeah, right. And every scream, actually, women don't scream the same way that canned scream from Psycho.
Right.
Like, they use that so much, because it's just such a perfect scream. You're like, dude, no, not every woman screams like that. That was creepy of me to say.
Yeah.
Let's not take that out of context,
Can we strike that from the record, man?
Yeah,
A little off color.
A woman told me that, actually. She was like, I'm so sick of hearing all these same screams. I'm like, thank God. Okay.
Oh,
no,
okay,
a woman
good.
told me. A girlfriend told me that once. Yeah. She
Good
was
save.
Like, no, it was
save.
true. It's true. But also good save. Yeah. So anyway, that's funny. I talk about R2-D2 and Star Wars, because that, for me, that's a jump off of sound effects. I mean, that's the year I was born.
Yeah.
Let's take it from there. And it's ironic you said that's the sound designer role.
Right.
So can we, do you have any notes, or let's go to your encyclopedia brain and say, hey, Jay, what movies are jump off points from Star Wars that take us through modern times? I mean,
I pulled this off of Looper.
Okay.
It had a couple movies. I didn't write all the movies down. I wrote the movies that.
Okay.
I wrote down a couple movies that, and a little bit of why. Looper is a website that has just some cool movie background information or listings or rankings, stuff like that. So they had some movies listed out, and I pulled some from there. So obviously, Star Wars wasn't the first time, but the first time, I think they actually had a sound designer, right? And then that's right. Right, and then Ben Burtt, okay. And then Francis Ford Coppola and Walter Murch worked together a couple times early on, especially, and that's where they also had that sound designer kind of moniker. Okay, so that's the first time you took the editor and the mixer kind of worked them together. Okay, so it's the same guy responsible for every bit of sound. So the ones I wrote down were and I've never seen Blowout, but I've heard a lot about it. I've had friends who've had the DVD, and I've always wanted to grab that from their collection and take it home and watch it.
It sounds interesting.
It's with John Travolta. He's a sound recorder, and he picks up something like a murderer or somebody's going to be murdered, and it's about it's a suspenseful kind of quiet movie, all about sound effects and the sound around you. Okay, so that was an interesting way to use sound.
Interesting, yeah. Well, that's pretty spot on. I'd like to see that too.
Yeah, exactly. Now there's another one. These are not in any particular order, really.
Okay, it's not a historical reference.
It's not completely historical, but it's the ones that stand out.
We'll shoot.
Robert Altman in MASH. Robert Altman, right?
Okay.
Filmmaker.
Yeah.
You've seen probably a couple of his movies, but he's considered one of the legendary filmmakers. He passed away not too long ago, I believe, or maybe it was long ago. I forget now.
Yeah, I know the name.
But he did MASH, and he did something with direct sound. He mastered how to use direct sound as opposed to the after effects from sound effects. So he was using the camera and the microphone and making sure everything was being utilized in that recording. Yeah. Right? Have really long takes, have everything planned out, and make sure everything's done right there real.
Boy, almost like a theatrical thing.
Right, yeah, and he was very stagey. Yeah. His movies, I would say, if you want to kind of classify Robert Altman into a little box, I would say he's what word did I just use there?
Stagey.
He's very stagey, and that's the way all his movies kind of operate. Yeah. Now David Lynch, who I'm not. David Lynch he's a very
pretty far out,
important filmmaker, but I don't dig his movies because I just don't get them. Visually, they're stunning. Yeah. Right? They're pretty cool ideas, but I don't understand the ideas. Yeah. I don't mind being confused during a movie, but I want some kind of closure. At least I don't have to be told, I want to have that after talk about what's going on, but when it's so far out there where nothing seems how are you supposed to connect those?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
What is that?
Using symbolism ad nauseum.
Right.
It's whoa, okay.
Right, yeah, it's it doesn't...
Well,
so
it
for
just,
me, I don't get
turns it, and I think the movie you're about to say is Blue Velvet.
Yeah,
because that one gets brought up in film school a lot, I think, with people.
The breathing from Dennis Hopper.
Right.
I mean, the way they were recording that and the way they're getting that. Had the breathing from 2001 Space Odyssey.
Definitely.
Was recorded.
That's pace setting.
That's recorded that. You know whose breath that is?
No.
Stanley Kubrick's.
Oh, okay.
He's the one that recorded the...
It's probably his idea.
Probably, yeah.
Probably,
guy
was a genius.
Yeah,
dude,
he was.
You gotta have the shortness of breath here.
Right.
You know what's great is that we'll get to that in a second. But Dead Space, I love that franchise in video games. We're gonna get to video games, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Right after these next couple movies here, we're gonna go video games.
The breathing of that same thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we'll leave it for there. We'll get to there.
We'll get to there.
All right. So after Blue Velvet,
we have now. I forgot the year of this in the '80s, but Das Boot by Wolfgang Peterson.
Is that a sub movie?
Uh-huh.
Okay, because I was thinking U571, but Das Boot.
Well before it.
Was it all German?
Yes, it's a German movie. It's a German movie. It's in German. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. It's subtitled. It's a German movie.
Yeah.
I forgot his name. Jürgen. You've seen him in movies before. He's the. I forgot Jurgen Sunkovich or something. I forget, but he's in the movie, and exactly. But the use of sound effects all in a sub, right? Yeah. But you're hearing them underwater. So you're creating different sound effects underwater, and how that was kind of like a very new thing to do, right? They were experimenting with that, and most of these movies are the use of experimenting for the first time in some ways, right? Like that, it's like, I mean, people have done that before, but they're finding new ways to make the sound effects in this tin can, right? From the explosions, from the bullets, from the depth charges to the silence.
Because I'm assuming, and I'm going to be stupid here and ask this. So you mean they didn't record it from a submarine?
They probably didn't record it from a submarine.
Okay, that's what we're saying. Yeah. This is or what they made sounds more submarine than an actual submarine.
Probably, right.
And we'll call that the body on the carpet.
Right.
Topic.
Yeah.
The body on the carpet topic.
Exactly.
Guess what? It just doesn't sound like it.
And you have to make it more than.
So what sounds more than sub? Well, a tin can in a bathtub with a microphone set up going. Okay.
Yeah. That movie's actually really, really good. If you haven't seen it in a while, I would recommend watching it. There's a sequence.
I do want to watch it.
There's a shot that they use the cutaway where it looks like it's the same shot, but they put something in front of the screen where it cuts, but it still looks like the same shot. It makes it a really long shot. Mm-hmm. There's a shot where they go through the sub from front to end, and they get through halfway to the ship, and they go through a blanket, and it crosses the screen, and that cut gives you enough time to switch the camera around or switch the setting around, so now you're facing the other side of the sub. But it looks like one continuous shot.
That's great.
Yeah, I love those little.
They did that ad nauseum. That's the trick they did in Bushwick. I recently watched
Bushwick. I'm not familiar with Bushwick.
It's some B movie. It has a terrible ending. But it's pretty cool for a little while.
Okay.
It's got Dave Bautista as the main character. They're in a neighborhood in New York, and all of a sudden there's a military insurgents, and it's like Red Dawn or something. All of a sudden people are getting shot on the streets by this military brigade.
What's this called again?
But the thing, it has really long shots like Children of Men. It's Bushwick, and there's some blonde lady does the lead woman role, and then
Natasha Henstridge.
No, we can sit here all day long, but it's an interesting movie, but it's shot like that, like it's real time, like they're running for their lives, and there's a camera behind them.
Oh, nice.
But then they'll like go up the stairs, and they'll do this like unnecessary zoom, like right into the stairs, and you're like, why are they? And then all of a sudden, because they had to cut the scene, they couldn't make it. They really couldn't. But I mean, it's usually 5 minutes between cuts, but then you start noticing it. Like they did a good job at the beginning of the movie, but then it got probably to be too hard or something. And like I said, it's not the greatest story.
I have to check it out.
But it was shot that way, and I don't know what they call that movie. I was going to call you and say, Jay, I think I just saw something. What is that? Where does that come from? But that wasn't the first time. I know that.
No.
2008, their movie was made, or 2015.
Bushwick?
Yeah, Bushwick's a relatively new movie.
Okay.
So, they're not crossing new territory here.
Yeah, no, everything.
But as a viewer, I notice more and more things, and just because I come online doesn't mean that the phenomenon came online at the same time.
Exactly.
So, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so that's Das Boot. Now let me get
okay.
I believe Ben Burtt actually also did Wall-E. The wind sound. Ben Burtt also did something with carpet, and he pulled the fabric across fabric across carpet, and that's what gave the wind sound. So
like a sheet or like a linen or something.
Exactly. So there's a use of
very light little. Oh, okay, I can hear that now.
So yeah, he tried all these different things about wind, like wind tunnels or breathing on it. There's all these different things.
Yeah, well, that's the old
wind.
one. I did that for the showdown for the very first, obviously the first movie that I would ever say I did.
Playing with matches.
I mean, the short film, but I had to do the wind for the showdown scene.
Right.
I just blew into the mic, and I think there was some wooden chimes or something, and I held that like 2 feet behind my head because I didn't want to hold it too close to the mic.
Right.
But just like off to the side, so it sounded like I was like. It was like, and then you like put your plastic bag and went across. We thought we were pretty neat. I mean, it's still pretty cool.
But that's awesome stuff, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you were creating a sound effect from a familiar. From a familiar place, right? But doing it for the first time.
I mean, as like elementary as it is, like blowing into a mic, really, dude, like anyone can do it. But I giggled to myself. I was like,
it's fantastic.
I love my whole life being a musician, and now I'm blowing into a mic. I guess that's what I need to do right now.
But that created the exact thing that needed that for that scene, right? That's what it's all about, man. Okay, I mentioned No Country for Old Men because of the non-music aspect, right? There's no music, but there's like it's all sound design. It's all the music's like in like I think there is like one song somewhere underneath there. I think you could finally hear it, but it's mostly sound, like the sound effects. Everything around their environment is what creates this. It's not melodic, but it just creates this design.
So it's kind of like the train station from Once Upon a Time in the West, where like the sound of like the dirt road and the wind, or maybe
the water dripping off into the hat, the pump going.
That's going on in No Country.
Yeah, there's a lot. I
watch that again because I know I watched it once.
Very good movie.
Yeah, is it Coen Brothers?
Yes, it is.
Are they coming out with a new thing? I saw.
This
is totally off topic, everyone, but everyone should be involved in this. The
Coen
Brothers are doing something new.
I don't always like all their movies, so it depends. Like I didn't like the last one they just did. I forget what it was now. Hail Caesar.
I'm that way with Tarantino. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
everything Tarantino does.
No one says you have to like every one of their movies, right?
I think they're all good movies.
I don't like all Spielberg movies.
Yeah, see.
So
BFG.
Right, exactly, right. Oh my God,
what's going on here?
Yeah, okay.
It's okay. ET was the better acronym. Anyway,
the idea is though, anytime you watch a movie, you're hearing something that someone's creating to make it sound that way.
Right. Well, cool. Can I bring up Terminator 2? Mm-hmm. Is this a good time to bring up? Mm-hmm. I'm in love with that soundtrack for two reasons. One, like I remember, first, and it was at a good time in my life. I was like 12 or 13. It was just like, life is good. All I have to do is play video games and go to junior high school. Right. It's cool. And so I really like that movie just in general because I just really like the franchise. And of course, Arnie's a good guy. You know, and as a kid, it's like, hey, Arnie's a good guy because I grew up on Arnie pretty much. And but what's going on in there? Okay, we have the da-dum, and we have the bank, there's that line. That comes from T1. I'm not saying the music.
Okay,
this is the sound design. What we're doing in T2 right now is we're discussing samples. And we're discussing recording something that may or may not be an instrument and then being able to detune it. Artificially changing its frequency path.
Okay.
Now, this is something that was like hardly ever done or never done before. I mean, it was done with the early stages of the mellotron, which was an instrument that played a tape sample. And that tape sample can be played, it's basically a trigger. So, no, you weren't really changing the pitch of it. Yeah, you could slow down the tape or speed up the tape, and that's an old trick that people have been doing forever. Mm-hmm. But this is like the first time that you could record anything, and it was digital too. That's the huge thing. It was digital, and you could refer to it digital from a computer. Right. So you're using computer for the music, and this is in the 80s, this was a very new thing.
In the 80s. Okay.
This is in the 80s, man. Okay. This is in the 80s.
Okay.
Now, I'm still unsure on the T2 release date. I don't want to split hairs with you, but I'm just going to go on and say, like, by 89, 90, they were working on the score. They were already working on the music. I don't know when the movie was released, but I can tell you that by the late 80s, by the late 80s, they already had their thing locked in, and they already had their technology locked in.
Sure.
So he was recording brass instruments, like a horn, or maybe the up here, and then being able to sample it. And my voice is not doing much for it. I can't imitate it. But it sounds so dark and evil.
Right.
I mean, when you slow someone's voice down, they go roar. You start talking lower. It instantly sounds sinister, even though it's not. It can be very comedic too. In the case of that movie, I was talking one of the few Will Ferrell movies that I like besides Anchorman, Old School.
Old School.
Yeah, when he's like, goes into slow mo, and he's like, it's a train gun. It can be super comedic too, because obviously when you do nitrous oxide, your voice lowers, and yeah, man, it's just like a. It's a comedic thing, But
is that the same thing from Young Guns when they're down peyote?
See, yeah, that's how they're doing. They're slowing down his voice. Okay. Now that's an old trick I'm saying, but the way it was composed in T2 was a library of samples coming up from a computer and being orchestrated. So the whole orchestra was being played by a computer, like computer music, and they were playing these samples. So instead of going out and getting a tuba or some really low brass instruments to go brrrr, they would just record a regular brass instrument and then detune it lower. And that sounds simple, but it's actually pretty revolutionary.
This is in T2? This
is what they did for the music in T2. And in order to get the dang, like that clank sound, that iron forge sound, they had to literally like try to get that sound. And of course they hit hammers with metal, but then they detuned it a little bit, or they sped it up. It goes the other way too. So it's like dang, it's like really dark. Like you would have to have an anvil like the size of my front lawn and hit it with a hammer to make that frequency of pitch come out of that phenomenon. See, we're going back to the gunshots.
Yeah.
Ennio couldn't do that, okay? Morricone could not do that back in the 60s.
Right.
But by 1988-89, you had what's called a CMI Fairlight, okay? The CMI, I think, was the brand, and Fairlight was the name of the sampler, and it had a computer screen with like a touch pen.
Oh, really?
And this is like revolutionary. I mean, I think they were like $10,000 when
We're talking
they
late
came out.
80s, huh? So that would be...
and they were...
Oh, yeah, that would be top.
And they're like $10,000 when they came out.
Ooh.
So that's, I mean, that could be like today's money, like $50,000. Who knows? But,
Right.
but which instrument or which musician's going to buy that?
Right.
You know, it's like the LM1, right? When Roger Lynn made his first drum machine in 1980 or whatever, it was available to the rich and famous only because it cost $5,000 in 1980.
Right.
You know, he only had a run of 500 of them. He moved on to a different model later on. And then eventually ended up developing the MPC, the Musical Production Center, with a call from Akai.
Okay.
And that's the beat making machine that made Jay Dilla famous, or Jay Dilla made himself famous. But I mean, a really prolific hip hop sampler. So samples started coming online also in the late 80s.
Okay.
So by 1990 or even 96, which is the golden age of hip hop, you had people no longer requiring two turntables with the samples coming from the wax.
Oh.
They could be loaded in and with a
Yeah.
hit of a button.
You have it.
And then you have enter Jay Dilla. I mean, people are doing this, but how about just a kick drum on the square? How about just or instead of a kick drum, how about this orchestral hit that goes dwee doo doo dee?
Right.
Oh, put that on a square. Dwee doo doo dee, dwee doo doo dee, doo dee doo dee. I mean, they can just use sample all day long, and that's all you need to do is a boom and a bap in order to get a hip hop thing going.
A boom and a bap.
A boom, bat, a boom, bat. You know, that's
A
all
boom
you
and
need
a
to get it
bat.
going. So some of the best, and that crunchy, 12-bit is what they call it. Some models, the EMU model had a 12-bit sampler.
Okay.
So, like 8-bit Nintendo and 16-bit Genesis.
Yep,
so
yep,
it's
yep,
right
yep.
in there somewhere, and it's
Okay.
on floppy disks, all your samples. So I don't know if you know this, when you digitally convert something, and this isn't too much now. I mean, you get this now with MP3s. People talk about sound quality and why I listen to it on vinyl and all this
Sure.
audiophile stuff. So some say it's bad when it's digitally converted. I say it's different. It's musical.
Okay.
I even have a device it's called a bit crusher, and I will crush the audio thing into an 8-bit square like a Minecraft. It's like the Minecraft of music. It turns it into 8-bit world. And my
Okay.
guitar will sound like a Nintendo. It just sounds crazy, like 8-bit. And there's even plugins on the computer screen. I can show you later.
That's so awesome.
It's incredible. But I'm intentionally destroying my signal and making it worse sounding on purpose.
Right.
So that's why I don't want to sit here and say, oh, because digital is bad, man. Oh, it's vinyl, man. It's good.
It's different.
It's different.
It affords different opportunities.
Right. And so these samples, why was the LM1 so successful? Why was it on all of Prince's first hits? Why did Stevie Nicks use it and Stevie Wonder and every other Stevie? No, I'm kidding. But rich people and really
Rich people.
famous musicians could
Right.
use it, and they did, and it sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And there's not too many of them left these days. And but anyway, now you have samplers on iPhones, and you have that other sampler I showed you last night. My little SPD pad.
Right.
So samplers are all over the place, but to have that ability to detune it, and this comes back to the topic of Terminator 2. This was in a musical score.
Okay.
So I'm just saying,
Yeah.
electronic computer samples being tuned and stuff wasn't happening. Everything was happening by tape before. Like when Ben Burtt did it, he didn't have a computer. He
Right.
had a tape. Everything was on
Right,
tape.
right.
So that's all I'm saying. That's why it was monumental. I think it's good to
Interesting.
bring up for the topic.
That's cool. Yeah, I like
All
that.
right, sorry
And
for
by
the
way-
tangent.
That's okay. That's okay. That's what these are for. And
Yeah.
when we're done with this recording today, we are jumping right on the TV over here, and we are watching. I want to hear this Terminator 2. I want to put
It's
this.
amazing.
I want to put this into perspective
Yeah.
after you telling me this.
Oh, absolutely. I watched
Okay.
it. Yeah, and everyone else, I maybe we'll post the link.
Yeah,
It's
that's a good
informative.
idea.
It's informative, but I never knew how groundbreaking it was because guess what? I didn't notice it.
Well, that's the thing,
Because
right?
it was so good.
Right.
That's paradox number one.
Yes, exactly.
We all worked our butt off on a $10,000 sampler computer doing revolutionary stuff, and y'all didn't I mean, I noticed it. The
Right.
semi's going off a bridge, and it's like, dun, dun, dun. I mean, it's just like, there's some epic shit going on
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
but I'm not really knowing that it's this Fairlight CMI model, and the music geek is in B flat minor
Exactly.
or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
It's making
Yeah,
you
here
involved
we
in the
are.
movie. That's
Boom,
all it's
baby.
supposed to do,
Yeah.
baby. And
Yeah.
at the end of it, if you then start thinking about it and go, yeah, but one thing that really stood out to me was the sound. Like, it was incredible. Like, there's movies where the sound is really like, the last movie of Christopher Nolan, Dunkirk. Sound
Ooh, I need to watch that.
is really integral to this movie. I believe it won the Oscar for sound design or sound
wow.
something in the sound department because it is that important to the movie. It makes you feel like I was ducking from shit. Like I felt like I was under attack. It was really, really well done.
Good.
Then A Quiet Place, the opposite.
Right, and that's the space. The space is the place. Yeah.
Right. So it's like it's just about silence, and you hear just a little bit of them walking on sand, and you hear a little bit, but it just their lives depend on being quiet, right? And so then everything is amplified then.
Yeah.
So I was eating popcorn, and I didn't want to eat anymore because I'm the.
Yeah, I know. You're scared. People are like, "What are you doing?"
I'm like, dude, I just put that down, man. I'm just freaking out in the silence. It's a movie that you have to see in the theater, much like Gravity.
Even like
Dunkirk
with the surround sound.
Yes.
I mean, I know people have nice home theaters, but
right, no, but nothing compares. I don't care how good it is. I don't care if it's a mini theater.
Yeah.
Nothing compares to that giant wall.
You're right.
And the sound and you just being lost. I sit up at the front row these days. I want to be just lost in these fucking movies, man. I want to be lost, man. Take me away, Calgon.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All right.
That's awesome.
Okay, so I think we've covered the movie aspect pretty well.
Definitely.
Let's finish up today. Talk about some video games.
Let's do video game. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously,
By the way, nice matches last night in Star Wars Terrace Kasi.
Oh,
I have to say, we ran the gamut. You were borderline unbeatable with Han. He had all the combos.
But that's my bookie.
I want a rematch tonight. Is that cool?
Oh, that's acceptable.
All right.
That's expected, actually.
All right.
Anyway. We did it up right with that. We did not get to tricky though. That's the glaring oversight of yesterday. If we did not get tricky, and so we will rectify that today.
Absolutely.
Okay. So let's talk about video games, man.
Sure.
The first thing that comes to mind when I talk about video games is
how realistic they're becoming.
Yes.
I mean, that's what or how much they're like movies. Really.
Right.
I mean, that's a movie kind of crossover podcast. Topic here.
Yeah, so let's start right fresh right now.
Okay.
Because we've all played Last of Us.
I hope so.
All right, I hope you have.
So.
If you haven't,
adult gamers out there.
If you haven't, you need to play The Last of Us. It's one of the most intensely awesome games I've ever played in my life.
I mean, if they could even watch a few videos of just gameplay to get the gist of it's nowhere near replaceable, but just try to just see what we're talking about here.
Yeah, it's an incredible experience.
Or the way that the cutscenes go. I mean, you could go Uncharted 4 for that. The way that cutscenes go right into the gameplay.
Oh yeah, that's good for Uncharted. Yeah.
I don't know when to put the controller down or when to pick it up. It's just like, I'm playing now. Whoops! I guess I better grab it.
Yeah, I gotta move. I gotta jump.
Yeah.
Die.
Yeah.
But with The Last of Us, the use of sound, and again, we're talking about sound design in video games, right? So what's more important than anything is the sound has to really pull you in because it's not real, right? And everything's fake. Everything's created, so you have to create every sound.
And here's something else. Since it is an immersive, interactive experience, unlike a movie,
right?
You have to have some kind of feedback or acknowledgement process for the user to become acknowledged, or for them to understand that they just put a button press in or something just happened. There has to be a response to their input or feedback.
Right.
AKA when it's a cutscene, you're hitting the buttons, you can't do anything. You obviously know, I'm not supposed to be doing anything here.
Right.
But then when it is time to do something, if I hit a button, that guy better jump, or there better be a jump sound effect.
Oh, exactly.
Now,
right.
this is at the heart of making a good game.
Yes.
And like making a good movie. We're sucking them in. We're making it immersive. We're presenting them in a world that we're defining the rules to it.
Right.
Okay. I love video games and video game design. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
But that interactive experience is that's a whole podcast, I guess.
Right.
The difference between a movie and a video game. But I'll let you know something. Why is clickbait? Why do you have Candy Crush? Why do you have games where a human can hit something and then a light goes off or a ding happens?
What is
it has to do with drugs.
Oh, really?
In your brain, there's something called dopamine.
Yes. Okay.
It's a pleasure center. When something good happens, you get a reward.
So that little ding makes you happy,
dude.
Like a little fucking rats, man.
Dude,
We're like little rats.
There's
in a maze.
studies, people's brains, and so if we can tap into why people get addicted to video games and then make that into straight up, this is my record you can listen to,
right?
Like interactive record. I don't know if people have tried to do that.
Right.
Interactive movie.
Right.
I've been in one where they sprayed me with water. It was at like a museum or something, some dinosaurs. And
the
the sea
4D.
was rumbling. Yeah, like so. So there's
4Ds,
crossovers. Okay,
yeah, there's a crossover. Yeah.
But the user, something happens. There's a trigger and response. It makes me know that I'm there.
Right.
Because on a movie, I could be there or not. I could be asleep. I mean, the movie still goes on.
Yeah.
But there's this interactive experience, and that releases a drug in our brain.
Okay, yeah. So that little
is the movie industry scared? I'm sorry, the video game industry outsold the movie industry for the last 10 years. Look up the stats.
Has it really?
Or has at least accelerated up
kidding.
at a rate that everyone's going, are you kidding me? This is the next big thing. Dude, Fortnite sold probably more than every other DVD sales combined of all DVDs, period. I mean, look at the stats. Go call the guy from Amazon. This is a guy who knows everything about everything.
Right.
Sales in the world. Video games are here to stay, and I'm trying to say why.
Yeah.
I've read some books on it. There's Reality is Broken here.
Okay.
A bestseller list by Jane McGonigal. Why games make us better and how they can change the world.
Oh, wow.
Because they're setting off dopamine receptors in our brain. There's a reward, right? I reward my kid with video games sometimes for good behavior.
Sure.
I mean,
me too.
You? Yeah. So, and it's something why? Because it's pleasurable.
Yeah.
It's fun. I mean, nothing wrong with video games. I mean, I know that there's, just like most things in casinos. Have you ever been to a casino?
Yep.
You pull that lever, it dings like a son of a bitch.
Yep.
The lights go off.
Even
Why?
when you lose.
Because there's drugs going off in your head. So if everyone's aware of that, hopefully we can all work on our own addictions.
That makes sense because in a
yeah.
casino, even when you lose, the lights are going off in some way, shape, or form, right?
Yeah, so put another one in.
It's always like, hey,
Potato
you lost,
chip.
but try more.
Potato chip episode.
More.
Potato chip sound design.
Yeah.
So that's what. Remember we unlocked the code last night?
Yes.
Like how we knew we unlocked this code, everyone, is that we entered the little cheat code to unlock all the stats because Jay and I don't have these games saved on our memory cards or whatever.
It's been a while.
So we unlocked all the stats, but in order to know that the code input, it goes
that.
bloop or
Bloop, ding.
something happens, and then and when it did, we had both big smiles on our faces because we knew it worked.
Exactly.
And that feedback mechanism is something that I'm saying. What if we can
the trophy sound
that?
effect? Yeah.
And explore that and learn from video games and apply that to our mediums, my passion, which is video games. But at the end of the day, I just want to make records and make music, and you want to make movies,
I just want to tell stories.
Yeah, I tell stories
Have
about
fun.
it.
Yeah. Okay. So,
really
so that's the great part about it is there's a lot of integral parts there, but it's about, again, it all comes back to the feels. Right? Whether it's dopamine, whether it's that button, or whether it's making you scared or whatever. But
I've been scared in some games. Yeah, they make me jump like hell. I'm so scared. I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta run.
But the thing, video games are it's so important. I think back like to Resident Evil. Why did I play that movie in the dark in the basement?
You just said movie.
Exactly. Why did I play that game in the dark in the basement?
Yeah.
Why did we go? We were playing. This was a long time ago. We were playing at your folks' place.
Okay.
And they were gone, and so we went from your room in the basement when they left, went upstairs, opened all the windows.
Yeah.
Unlocked the doors.
I think it was like October. There was like some like cool breeze
coming through.
Yeah. Rustling.
Yes, and we played Silent Hill.
Oh.
And it's like
and
it was like
why?
Off. Because it adds to it adds to that
and we knew that.
feeling.
We knew that. We're like, we'll make it extra cool. Like,
exactly. How do we take
and
this
then
up?
We hear like some animals outside. Steps on a stick. We're like, what?
Was that real or the video game?
First of all, Silent Hill 2. If anyone even knows, Silent, it's not fair even. And I'll get to this too. Actually, this is annoying. We talked about this last episode. When people are doing this, when sound designers do this, there's too much jump scare. There's too much ambient noise. There's too much. Yeah. Like I'm just trying to walk down this like country path or something. I think it's towards the beginning of the game, and it's just like this like dragging on metal. I'm like, dude, I get it, it's cool, and then it keeps going off like every 30 seconds. I'm just like, dude, can I just get walk? And there wasn't even a single threat when I got to my destination. I was like, son of a bitch, not even a single monster jumped out.
So
that whole time,
you know what?
My butt is clenched up tighter than a diamond.
They served their purpose though.
Yeah.
They wanted to make you feel uneasy no matter what the situation was.
They did.
And now you, for the rest of the movie, you don't trust them.
And I had to have courage, just like you have to after you watch, like, let's say a dog dies in a movie. You have to have the courage to keep watching the movie because I don't like to watch that crap.
No, who does?
Violence against kids. There's all these different scenes I see in movies, and I'm like, geez, this is really hard to watch.
Yeah.
But with games, guess what? If I don't have the courage to go forward, that game's not moving anywhere.
Nope.
The game's not going anywhere.
And those games can be kind of scary.
So you have to have the courage. I find it's more brave. You have to be brave in these games. I think
because the sound design makes it so scary, man.
Dude, there's parts of my kids playing like Ratchet or something. I mean, it's not. He doesn't play mature games, but he'll play E10 or something. Some games that are E for everyone, but he'll be scared. There's a big one of these big mini bosses comes and it's like lava around. He like gives you the control. He's like, here, Daddy, and gets scared. He's like, here, you get to you. I'm like, Daddy's got this, So awesome. It's kind of cool,
Right,
I mean, that's like that interactive experience, and then eventually he'll get brave. And I think by the end of the hangout, I think he was like facing the mini boss by himself.
Yeah.
And he had the courage to do that. And so I think that's neat. You can't get that from movies.
No, you can't. You can't get that repeated experience either.
Right. Or if you have the courage to finish the movie, I mean, without closing your eyes, there's courage there.
There is, right? Especially when you're younger age. But but it all comes back to making you react that way. And how do they do that?
Yeah.
Right? Visuals are one way. Sound effects and sound are so important in video games, man. They make you scared of what's coming around the corner.
That's right. The sound design.
Yeah. So when we talk about that, you talked about earlier, which was an amazing little movie or game. Again, I went to the movies. Was Dead Space.
Oh yeah, I was going to talk about the breath. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the reverb in that. Like, you can tell it's shallow breath within a helmet. There's a certain reverb for that. Everyone knows. When you've been in any kind of mask or a situation, your world changes. Or if you go into an elevator and it's all of a sudden, you're like, ooh, oh, hi. You snap your fingers. It's like, wow, this sounds really weird.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if anyone's been, okay, you're going to hate, I don't know the word. Is it anatomic chamber or aniatomic chamber? It's a chamber that makes no sound.
Okay.
All the sound has been canceled out.
I've heard about this.
Anionic? It's called something. I'm a chemist, so I think anionic because that's what I do every day. But
right. I've heard about that, and it's supposed to, it cancels everything else out, and it kind of freak you out a little bit.
It does, and it is disorienting as hell.
Right.
And then you can't hear yourself talk after you talk. The sound is gone. It's the weirdest feeling ever.
So what does that do though? What isn't there? There's an end game for this particular.
All
chamber.
I'm saying is that when I heard that breath. You know, especially when I'm running out of air and it's like, and he's like struggling for the breath. I start fucking like worrying about my own breath on the couch as I'm playing this game. And like when you were watching Kubrick and he's in 2001, he's got the shallow breath. You're like, dude, he's running out of air.
Right.
I mean, that's like, and then there's nothing. I mean, oxygen that's in our DNA. We're talking about how we were programmed as humans, you know, and fear and all that.
Right.
When we run out of air, all bets are off.
Yep.
I mean, it's dark, but that's why people die alone.
Yeah,
They'll always die alone because they're escaping for air. If they can't breathe, they're going to just try their best to claw over whatever they can to try to breathe.
Yeah.
It's a dark feeling.
Yeah.
But anyway, so when I hear the shallowness of the breath, the sound design of just some simple breaths that were muted and they were done like this, like it was in here.
Right.
See
Exactly.
and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm freaking out right now, dude.
He's gonna die. Don't die.
Yeah. So I got oxygen and it went. And then the sound went off, and I was like, and then and not only and he added some reverb to the sound, so and he took his helmet off, so you could have that feeling. And I'm telling you, man, that with just some simple reverb or just some simple room or cupping your mouth, I mean, just how is the sound interpreted by the listener? And that's what we're talking about here. You know,
that's all the intent.
That's
right
all
there.
the intent right there.
Right.
Yeah, that sound could be like just like a shot of stock footage that could be scored 5 different ways. That breath could be recorded 5 different ways.
Sure enough.
Even the same breath. Yeah, shortness of breath, but I could record it 5.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he does. Because then you can use those,
yeah.
like depending on the exertion level.
Right.
You know, like a little bit faster, and then a little bit slower, and then a little bit very, very calm. You know, so, all different ways.
So I found the Dead Space franchise to be absolutely impeccable with sound design.
Yeah, I never even. I mean, yes, I picked up on that obviously in a way, but not like that. But what got me about the game was the surrounding. Like the ambience around you, right? Whether it's like the light going off and the buzzing or something, or the monster that you know is just around the corner somewhere, but you don't know exactly where, and the creaking of everything, and
which vent it's gonna jump out of, even behind you.
Right. Exactly. And you're walking around and you're just kind of like hoping for the best. You know, and it adds to the environment, to the ambiance is just incredibly intense, right? But those are some of the more recent examples, obviously, because they're obviously more movie-esque, right? So you got Dead Space, you got Last of Us, but you know, another aspect I don't know is the repetition of sound. Okay. Like, you know, because you have the sound effects, right? You have like the movies that make you feel like you're there because they're creating every bit of sound and it makes it feel real. Then you have those iconic noises that you always hear. Right?
When you said repetitive sound, all I think of, and I mean, we might be reading each other's mind right now, is Sonic in a little ball going down a thing and collecting 100 rings, going like that.
Or Mario hitting the brick.
Between, yeah.
You know?
You know what? When I get a lot of credits and level up, I think, gosh, what is that? At the end of a fight or something, it goes, you'll hear a set, or like level up. What do they do with Call of Duty? They play some like little sound cue and you level up.
Yes.
And it's like a very upbeat.
It's a very marchy
military, or something goes off or a light shines. Level up, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, leveling up is a huge feel for sure. And that goes back to what we just said of the topic.
Right, yeah.
That was like going, when the counter goes up, the money counter.
Yeah. Right.
Like that. And see how I raise the pitch? That makes it more intense, you know?
Right.
It's not just it's
you gotta increase it. It changes. Yeah. Or what happens if you go the other way?
I'm losing money probably.
Exactly. So there's all.
I didn't say anything.
Exactly.
I just made a sound.
Exactly. That's awesome. Okay. So of those sound effects, like right? You said one key one, Sonic.
Yeah.
I mentioned Mario. So you have those, the jumping, or whether it's that, you know, whatever the sound effect is, it's all you all know it's from Mario.
Feedback to know that I hit X to jump.
Yeah.
Okay,
right. And how about one of my favorite, the alert from the guards of Metal Gear Solid.
Ring. Yeah, rink. Yeah. Now I think there was because I follow some kind of throwback website on Facebook, so it's like 30 years ago. Year today, I think just recently, in the last month, they celebrated a milestone of like 30 or 20 years of the exclamation point.
Is that right?
Hideo Kojima released the first Metal Gear Solid game, or maybe it was just the first Metal Gear game because
let's see,
was it 85? Because Gummy Bears came online 33 years ago this weekend. And that was one of my Gummy Bears, 85, yo.
Oh, shit.
Yep.
Okay. Gummy Bears.
Dancing. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That was Saturday morning. I was like, hell yeah, here come the Gummy Bears. And then he drinks the potion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's life lessons, man.
Oh, yeah, man.
Do a shot, get fucking crazy. I'm just kidding. Kids, don't do that. Don't do that. Edit that.
It's staying. Okay.
Anyway.
Okay, so Sonic, Mario, Alert,
Metal Gear Solid.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about the PS3 and the trophy sound?
Oh, yeah.
Leveling Up's the same kind of thing, but trophy is that.
Yeah, that pop. That ring. Yeah. Oh, it's a zing. Bing. Yeah, you know what? And Xbox 360 kind of messed up. They got their Thunderstole because unlocking achievement was a blip. And that same blip was the default sound from when like your friend got online or like someone else. So you're hearing the blip all over the place. So it wasn't like a rewarding, very unique dopamine release mechanism.
Exactly.
Like,
the trophy is definitely
the trophy.
Release.
There is nothing else that sounds like that.
You always want those trophies. You want to hear it.
Yeah.
Got it. All right. Okay.
Yeah, everyone probably thinks that we're the geeks that have like the really crazy ringtones for every little thing we do on our phone.
I used to.
That's actually not true.
I
use a lot of default canned stuff.
I have nothing else on my phone anymore when it comes to I used to have Chewbacca, lightsaber. I
used to have Uptown Funk.
Uptown Funk, nice.
Of course I would. Want to be hipster. All right, anyway.
Okay, so how about Street Fighter? Lots of, Hadouken.
Yeah, right? Okay, Hadouken. Yeah, no, that's something. Yeah,
right? And then the sound effects for that and the... the knockout sounds when you got hit and the woo, 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 and everything kind of like went woo, 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 right? In slow motion, he's just flying in the air.
Okay.
So you have all those little things that are just, you know the sound when
you hear
them.
And I think, there's more combat. Get over here.
Exactly, right. The sound effect of the thing goes. That's what's so cool is those sound effects. Some of them are iconic that you always remember.
Yeah.
Some could be mixed match and you wouldn't
know. Well, there's Pac-Man dying. Pew, 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 pew. Yeah.
Right. Now... One of my favorites.
Did I just go backwards? Are you trying to...
Nope,
there's no timeline here.
There's no timeline.
Cool.
Mine's all sporadic thoughts on what comes to mind.
All right.
Tecmo Bowl.
Okay, yeah, the music. Yeah. Mike Tyson's Punch Out. You brought that up last time.
That's a great one.
I've heard there's even been some memes with Duck Hunt.
Nice.
When the dog holds up the thing, there's like jokes, internet memes, like the dog holding up.
I can't recall the music.
Like people, they do the thing where Chuck Norris shoots, and then they have random people falling, and it makes it look like Chuck Norris is a sniper.
Yeah.
Well, they had that, and then they had the dog be like, and you come up. So it played the little thing from Duck Hunt. Whenever you got a duck,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. I love those, and especially in the early days where it was the 8 bits and the 16 bits. You had a lot more of these like crucial like sound effects that are integral to like the jumping and all that.
Yeah.
Now you have characters who are fluid, moving in 3D worlds.
But can we also stop there for a second?
Yeah, sure.
Just like the spaghetti westerns and the Italians with their limited budget and technology. I mean, let's also talk real talk here, guys. How long has the video game industry been around?
Since the early 80s.
Well, the first video game was probably invented in 1960, I think.
Okay.
But by the time it hit home, in the first home console, I think we're talking 70s.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be right. Late 70s.
So it's like hip hop. Okay, it's been around for about as long as hip hop. It's in the mid 70s or whatever. Maybe even early. Maybe you can say James Brown was the first hip hop in the 60s, but whatever.
Okay.
It's still in its infancy. It's probably 30 years behind the film industry.
Okay.
So let's just be real talk there.
Sure.
Okay. I forgot what the topic was. I just got so serious.
Sound and video games and
they had a lower budget and they're in the infancy. So how do we make this reward? How do we release the dopamine? Because we don't have no 3D. We ain't got no PS4.
Right.
We got Pong. We got this. And so I think sound design had a lot to do with that.
Yeah, you're right.
And that's why we're talking about our 8-bit favorites. I mean, that graphic was so dumb with the dog coming up, but the do kind of made it.
Absolutely.
And the dwing and the coins, so I think they I'm going to go on a limb and say that they were probably more effective and more useful. Sound designs were more effective and more useful, and even maybe relied on heavier.
I think that's the key right there.
Back in the earlier day, because the graphics weren't that good. We had to have good sounds.
Relied upon is important.
Right, and when the first PS1 dropped, this is huge, because you could now have spoken dialogue, because you had a freaking CD.
Yeah.
When that CD started spinning, you're listening to CD quality audio, folks. That's 16-bit, 44 kilohertz. That's not 12-bit anymore. That's straight up CD quality audio, which is still the standard if you go buy a CD from Walmart today. Please don't buy your CDs from Walmart, anyone.
Yeah,
don't do that.
I would say that's a
don't
bad
do
idea.
that.
Yeah.
Buy your CDs from your local record store.
There
start
it is.
a conversation with
don't
people.
go to Amazon either.
No, start with a conversation. But if the guy's wearing a flannel shirt and glasses and has that certain haircut, just keep walking. Don't talk to him. Anyway.
Okay. All right. So, what other games do you think of when it comes to sound? So, I mentioned some important ones to me. Resident Evil was another one. Like I said earlier, we played in dark and played in the dark, and the sound effects were really important.
And you know what? We amplified the experience.
Yes,
and
we did.
I think if we were to put on, let's say, Silent Hill 10 right now on our PS6, this is obviously the future.
Right.
I think I'd be so wrapped in because we probably have our virtual headsets on by then that I don't think I'd open the windows.
Right. Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, case in point, earlier on the games were a little more primitive, Jay. So we had to open the windows a little bit and kind of make the it was a PS2 game.
Add our 4D experience.
Add our own little 4D experience.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So maybe that is true. They relied more on that stuff earlier.
Right. And you brought up something really earlier important. You just said that they relied upon the sound more importantly back then, and that's true because now they're still. It's very useful. Obviously, case in point, Dead Space, Last of Us, any
modern games,
action movie, anything. Star Wars, little Battlefront. The sound effects make that work because it sounds like you're playing Star Wars.
It has
right?
I had to hear the certain pew pew,
right.
the certain pew pew.
Gotta be
certain,
right.
Yeah.
Right, but that's the important thing. But now they're not relying upon the music. The music just adds to the experience.
I like it.
Another component of making things as perfect as they can to get you involved. Like you said, 3D. I played a couple 3D games, man, and they freaked me out.
Really? Now, was it 3D or was it VR?
It was VR.
Okay.
VR. So I was.
Yeah.
It was the PS4's virtual reality. I put that on. I played the Batman game, and it was fucking far out, man.
Yeah.
It was really cool. And then I took it off after playing for maybe 15. Mike's like, I don't want you playing for long. I'm like, thank you, because you could get lost in there, and you come out of it, and you're like in a daze. You're like.
I don't know, man.
Whew.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I haven't put my head into one of those things yet. Honestly, at first, as experimental as I am, and I will try to get the most current thing cool that comes out. I think, if I feel like I need it, which isn't really a lot.
If it adds to the experience,
if
it's necessary.
Yeah,
right?
But that's
breaks
all, I mean,
breaks the next one out.
If it really does, but then that's the one barrier. I'm just like, but I don't know if I want to.
Right.
Just because we can.
Exactly. Doesn't mean we should. Exactly. Yeah. Right. So I personally didn't. Well, I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
And I think I can see why people get addicted to it though, and I can see why it's a problem, and I can see why there's going to be issues with it, with just people reacting poorly to it, having side effects, having issues,
Is there VR
getting trapped
movies?
in there.
There probably are VR movies. There's VR things.
There's got to be VR short movies.
There's probably VR simulation training. And here's a positive side.
Right.
Oh, I never dropped Liquid Science. I wanted to just say it onto the podcast, just because, guys, I think it's a really good show. Watch it with your kids. Watch it with people. It's the Jizza from the Woo is not the Jizza. It's just Jizza from the Woo is the Wu-Tang Clan is the host, and it's on Netflix. It's a documentary. I think it's BBC oriented. There's like a musical episode that's I think is kind of neat.
Oh, right on.
But it's like the future of stuff, where we're going with everything.
Okay.
And it's just really well done. And it's just really
I'm gonna check it out with kids. I think.
Yeah, and they have sound and stuff in there, and they talk about a lot of different barriers that we're going up against too. So
that's awesome. I would definitely check it out because I'm always looking for stuff to that's more educational as opposed to just because Levi just watched all 4 Jaws movies.
Yeah. Okay.
And he watched the last 3 without me.
Yeah. Oh.
And I was like, hey, that's fine. But I said I had a conversation with him. I'm like, hey boys, listen to me.
Yeah.
You guys, whatever movie we watch, if it's an important one, you've got to wait for Dad.
You got to watch it together.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. But this is fine.
Yeah.
I'm totally cool with it. I'm glad you liked them.
Yeah.
But thanks for giving me your feedback in each one of them. All right.
Yeah. Did you ask him what do you think about the cello motif? Where it's 2 notes together. Is it sinister?
How do you like the continuation of the character's actions versus his paralleled?
Yeah. What was the character arc? I mean,
exactly.
Start him young.
Oh, I am. I'm talking about midpoints. I'm like, what happened in the middle of the story? Like, well, what changed?
That's so great. Hell yeah.
All right. So we've talked about some of what we talked about last time, obviously, with the way movies and sound work together, right? And music especially. Then we talked about sound design in particular with movies, and we've worked into the video game aspect. Is there anything that we're missing in the video game aspect now?
I mean, probably a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think just the key thing is what I brought up, which I mean, I'm telling you, I think there is dopamine being released when you're watching movies.
It absolutely is.
And things going on. I'm not saying there's no knock on it. It's a different medium. I mean, but be careful what you wish for, because if video games do evolve into VR, you're already kind of not really a fan. I mean, you're kind of mixed feelings. Yeah. I'm not a fan. I mean, I haven't tried it, so maybe I shouldn't even talk. But hey, it's evolving into something, and I don't want it to be You know.
Yeah, we don't want to have the negative impact.
Yeah, we don't want to do Jurassic Park and end up with dinosaurs everywhere because we created the wrong technology.
Just because
you know what I'm saying?
Right? Just
because we could. We don't need no dino DNA. But there might be other topics. I don't know.
No, but the whole thing with video games is that it's so integral because, like you said earlier, it was very important because they didn't have a budget, and that was how you could represent a lot of things going on the screen.
Right.
And you get those dopamine releases that make you excited, makes you want to hear that noise again.
Right.
But then now it's more evolved into giving you an experience.
Yeah.
It's not about the dopamine release there, right? So like when you're talking about Last of Us and you have that sound effect of like one of the creatures.
Yeah.
And like, listening to how, like, have you ever listened to those guys talk about how they created the sound effect of those creatures in The Last of Us?
Oh, right.
It's really, really far out.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. There's like the clickers and stuff.
You sent me that link. Yeah, and so the way they created it and the way they try different things and you experiment and you're like, well, what does this sound like? Well, no, you can't try that. No, try it, right? They don't say that because they try everything.
Yeah.
They try everything and see what sounds better, and that's the idea. You don't just go with plan A.
Yeah.
You try a whole bunch of them and you see what sounds better, and I think they've done such a great job. But that reaction, though, instead of a dopamine release, it gives you that the fear, right? That because dopamine gives you more like that elation, right?
Sure,
more positive. Right. So when you hear that noise,
yeah, isn't that that's adrenaline? Sorry, there's also adrenaline. Which
Okay.
I think that's fight or flight. So I think, I don't know, I'm not a physiologist, but there's definitely chemicals in your body that are getting released with certain stimuli or whatever, external stimuli, however the scientists talk.
Like the sound effects, like the
yeah,
like those sound effects can
fight or flight comes into there, and then the cortisol is another hormone, but they're checks and balances, like the endocrine system and the hormones, like epinephrine. There's all these different hormones and testosterone and
they're not trying to freak you out. They're not trying to make your body go into a state of shock. They're just trying to elicit a reaction.
Well, they're trying to make you survive.
Right.
That's
right. And
it's
just
survival instinct.
Right. And you're just the audio or the film, the sound. They're trying to make you react a certain way.
Yeah.
They're not trying to hurt you.
Yeah, I know.
Right? They don't want you to die.
I still tell you what, I don't like to watch horror movies. I just never liked it as a kid. I just don't like getting scared that much.
That's a whole other topic. But I love horror movies back in the day.
I can't.
Okay,
that's why I never was a doctor. It's just like I can't stand the sight of blood.
So that's where I draw the line. It's not necessarily just the blood, but it's the intensity of the violence today, where it's so gruesome and visual and like you see everything, right? Like I don't need to see you digging your hand inside of his leg to pull out. It's like I don't need to see all that. No. So I don't like the gratuitous part of it, right?
Yeah,
I appreciate violence
or excess, maybe.
Right.
Yeah, there's gratuitous is that's a thing too.
Yeah, but with Quentin Tarantino, he gets to a point where it's a little too much now.
Yeah.
Like before, it was one thing, cutting the ear off. There's always a shocker. There's always something that's gruesome.
Kill Bill was his pinnacle, at least, but he was trying to be hilarious with that.
Right, but then you look at like the Western he made.
Hateful Eight?
Yeah, where, spoiler alert, one of their heads gets blown off.
Yeah.
And it's so disgusting.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't need to see that. There's a movie called Bone Tomahawk, which I highly do recommend watching at the same time. Don't finish it.
Okay.
Like don't watch the last 20 minutes. Yeah. It is nightmarish.
Well, I hate to end on this topic. We don't want to.
Oh yeah. So let's not go there.
We're trying to wrap it up.
Right, let's wrap it up.
I know.
Wow, I went down a dark road there. Sorry.
But that's. Okay. I'm telling you, you can tell a story with that.
Yeah.
And you can tell a story with sound too, because nails on a chalkboard, folks. It might as well be someone's head being blown off sometimes. It just like your hair goes up on him and you can't even help it. I can't help it.
Yeah. No.
And you know what I'm saying? If you say I can't help it, I have to hide my eyes. That's a knee-jerk reaction. I mean, that is survival instinct.
Yeah.
So we're talking. So you're talking to the feels. Don't worry.
Yeah. So it all comes back around, man. It's all the feels, right? So, but hey, man, this has been good. We had some good conversation here. This might be broken up in two parts. I don't know. I might just
Are we another hour? Okay.
Yeah. But at any rate, man, I want to thank you again for letting me come in your home. It's good to see you again. Yeah. And
Thank
good conversation, good podcast. Let's do this again.
Yeah, sometime let's do it again. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
All right, everybody. If you haven't done so, like, subscribe, follow, whatever. All right, we'll see you next time.
All right.